hi, people on the internet watching internet stuff that has to do with cars. Welcome to this. My 1974 RE21 Toyota Celica with a 2UZ V8 out of my dad's old Toyota Tundra. After I finished editing the last video on this car, I went straight to work with knocking out some more wiring kinda off camera just so I could listen to music and make some progress without having to worry about filming everything, which actually helped out a ton. And I also rerouted a ton of wires that were initially going down the side of the engine bay to now go up over alongside the intake manifold, kind of how it is from the factory. And for those of you with a strong attention to detail, I'm gonna leave this image right here of these coil pack wires with you and see if you can figure out what I'm doing. Oh, hi there. Just don't worry about that. Now I can start checking these off. Well, I gotta use a different color for my checks. And this right here is why I made this dry erase chart, so I can give a visual reference of what is complete with my wiring. See, look at that. It's a wire tie right there on the injector rail. This is gonna be perfect. Why? I gotta take the hook off to get the rail in there? That's ignorant. While they might look like Legos for robot babies, these are actually Sumitomo wire connectors. And they are the exact ones used from the factory on the Toyota Tundra wiring harness. So if you accidentally break one of these on your vehicle maintaining it, just know that you can get the part number from the factory service manual and replace just that broken plug for a couple dollars. And you can get them as a kit too, with the rubber butt plug and the pin. Robots like it kinky too. So you can make a brand new one if yours is damaged, or you can get it as a pigtail if you just want to be lazy and solder it. And don't worry, there's no shame in being lazy and just ordering the pigtail. I understand time is money and not everyone has time to waste days wiring their vehicles. Injector 1, brown wire, black stripe. And then the injector will sit right about there, making sure I give ample room. I don't want my wires to be too short. Cut. I'm not locking any of the connectors down just in case I want to pull it out to do something with the loom. Injector 1. I leave my brown and red one down in here. About that long. Injector 3. Brown, yellow, brown, yellow, brown, yellow, brown, blue. Of course it's on the other side because I'm dumb. Where the hell did I route that thing? Injector 5, injector 7. The one thing I learned on the MR2 is to be generous with my wire length, because once you start adding zip ties and wire loom, it definitely shrinks the distance you think you had. I have to say, this process of building the harness is a lot of fun. If you're like the type of person that likes to build Legos, this would be right up your alley. Don't ask me what this has to do with Legos. Done, 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 done. However, that is not everything, because wiring up these Toyota Denso coils from the factory, they have a 4-wire circuit. It is your plus B or 14-volt source. Then you have your injector feedback, your injector signal coming from the ECU, and then your ground. Now with this aftermarket standalone ECU, it does not require the injector feedback wire at all. And that is where my fuse box out of an 85 Celica is going to come into play, because the power source for all those coils isn't just simply coming from the ECU, it has to come through the ignition relay. If you notice right here on the factory harness, Toyota does use a noise filter for these coils, which I don't know if I actually need that for my aftermarket ECU or not. I guess it wouldn't hurt to have it. Toyota uses the exact same sensor for the VVT position sensor as they do the crank position sensor. Basically anything you see with this little dashed lasso around it is just depicting that these should be shielded ground circuits. So knock sensors, cam position, crank position, and then your VVT sensor positions. So this is going to go to terminal number 1, positive. That's a F-35. There's an F-35 flying up there. Yep, it's a pair of 2 of them. They sound so different than an F-16. My VVTi position sensor. Ah, black with a little tail. That's it. Yep, that's the one right there. Positive is the side with the tail. I'm doing the most time-consuming part first because it'll be easy and quick to just lay all the powers and grounds afterwards. Oil control valve circuit. Oil control valve. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Really wish I would have read that before I made the last video. So blue-yellow is the ground side. Side without the tab. Easy peasy. The factory engine coolant temp sensor is $60. Not including tax or shipping. I can ohm it out real quick and make sure this thing's still good. It's close enough to 68 in here. It's more like probably 78, but whatever. That sucks. It's a bad sensor. Man, heat is heat, okay? We'll give this a shot and see if it changes anything. Nope, it still is, it's bad. It's a bad sensor. I mean, to be fair, it's like 20 years old and it came out of a truck that had over 200,000 miles in it, so this one's smashed, so I'm not using that one. In order to make the gauges function in the 74 Celica, I need the sensors that came off the original engine. Hello, Focus. Hello, Gump. The AC compressor is so weird looking on this thing. I gotta somehow get this oil cap to work on the 2UZ. So there's a temp sensor, it's just a little guy. And there's another one right there on that coolant jacket. Space for tools was limited, so I had to bring a hammer. Man, this thing is so old. There we go. Sorry, there's no room to put a tripod in here. This is a bunch of extra. I might use some of this, but reverse engineering time. Unpackage this. This is all headlights and horn. Horn and headlights. The smartest way to do this is to reverse engineer the factory RA21 harness from the furthest point out, which is the headlights, which I've now broken down. Oh, the light relay was on this side before. This wire leading to the relay is tied in on the passenger side headlight, which no longer will reach the relay. Solder from the 1970s. Bet there's a ton of lead in this stuff. Do it just like they did from the factory with one of these guys. Now that's good to go. Now for the marker lights. Please go to the right lights in the horn. All of this stuff is for the voltage regulator, starter, and alternator. Snip you right there. That goes right there to the fuse box area. The fuse box originally was right about here in the car, and now it needs to be right about here. So that's about how much wire I gotta add. Double it for a little bit of routing. I need to do one thing first. Inside here, aha, Faraday tape. This little tassel is the ground for the shielded ground. Each one of these wires is individually wrapped, and if you follow it back to the ECU on the factory Toyota harness, each one of these Hall effect sensors has the little ground wires individually wrapped that go to a main ground junction plug. Or I could just do this. This is way smarter. Yeah? Pre-made, genuine Toyota Hall effect sensor circuits with the shielding wire and the wrap already on them. I can just put brand new plugs on there. Let's see. Testing the red side. 0.002 ohms, great. Green side, 0.002, great. This is the crank trigger. 2, good, great, excellent, excellent, perfect, perfect. All 4 of the factory 2UZ Hall effect circuits tested 100% good to go. These are fully mission capable. Give these a wipe, make sure they look good. Doing this is the same reason why you wear a tinfoil hat. It's the best way I can explain it. Of course, since I have brand new connectors, I'm not going to use the old ones. So I'm going to take these guys apart. See how brittle they are? This makes my life way easier because nothing is going to be as good as this factory shielding job. So I will gladly use that harness. Got it. Now put the green, red, rewrap my shielding. Out with the old brittle plug. You need a doctorate in patience to be able to do these. Come on. Got it. This decision makes somebody mad but makes another person happy. So there's that. And this is essentially done right here. Internet humans, I have 3 packages that just arrived. Some goodies for this and the MR2. Check that out. Oh, it's mint. For those of you that were wondering if I was gonna have air conditioning in this car, yeah, that's how I'm gonna do it right there. Gee, I wonder where that package came from. Yeah. Oh, that's nasty, but it's all right. I only needed it for one thing. These are all the plugs that I was missing for my harness. Now I should be able to put this down in the engine bay right next to the other one. Oh, that's gonna be perfect. The stuff you're not seeing in this YouTube video is the hours I'm spending sitting at my laptop researching how each one of these circuits functions so I can determine the gauge of wiring I'm gonna need, exactly how I need to wire it, like with the shielding and stuff. This one's full of a bunch of mint Toyota Denso relays in it. Check that out. It's the original old logo fuse. Literally just spent an hour going over both schematics, make sure I'm doing this right. You know, it's like the simplest circuit in the world, but because this has quad headlights and the RA65 had single pop-ups, slightly different, but kind of not really. I know someone's gonna comment the fact that I'm using a circuit designed for 2 headlights and I'm putting 4 in there, but as much as I'm staying purist with everything, I am going to upgrade to a modern set of retro-looking LED headlights that have far better light output than these ancient sealed beams. It's just, I don't want to not be able to see where I'm going. And don't even try to comment and say that halogen headlights have better light output than LED. Maybe cheap, crappy, made in elsewhere LEDs, but not good quality ones. This is gonna make things quite a bit more difficult, but the only way I'm gonna get my wire lengths correct is if this is up under the dash where it needs to be. All right, this is gonna be a problem. I gotta get the link stuff out. Okay, factory harness. That just made such a big difference in feeling like I'm getting close to this being done. Huge difference. That's it right here. This is all of the RA21 stuff that gets integrated with the link to the fuse box. It's way more manageable seeing it like this. What you're looking right here is the factory schematic of a 1985 Celica, and this is the headlight circuit. Inside the fuse box, you have 2 of the 15 amp fuses for the headlights, and then you have terminal 2, terminal 4 going out to the headlights, which is telling me right here, 3C, that is 2 and 4. Those are the headlight wires. This plug right here on the harness I just bought, you can see 2 and 4 right there. Those red wires, that is for the headlights. So what that is telling me is where I need to put the wires on the Celica into that harness to plug it into the 85 RA65 fuse box to make it all plug and play in this older car. So basically, in a nutshell, I am wiring my 1974 Toyota Celica exactly the same as a 1985 Toyota Celica, so that way everything has already been engineered for me. I just gotta plug it and play it. There we go. Got it. Before you say, but Sarah, why are you gonna use those old nasty connectors? Don't worry, one step ahead of you. Got fresh new ones. Left headlight is terminal 2. Terminal 2 goes right under the center. Perfect. This is the start of my harness. Is this beginning to make sense now? Here's my headlight harness. Plug directly in, goes to the headlight fuses. Internally goes to the headlight relay, and then I get all the wires coming from the stock going right into here. The other side of that equation is the control inside the vehicle to send the signal out to the light relay to allow the headlights to come on. Continuity between 3 Bravo 2, 3 Bravo 2. Yep, 3 Bravo 2. That is the signal which is telling the relay to close its contacts. So that's the big tall one. Next up to the chopping board. That's working headlights. In case you're having a hard time following what's going on, essentially every one of these fuses on the original 74 fuse box, I'm having to lengthen wire and relocate them in the engine bay into this other Toyota fuse box. The original horn fuse location was right here under the dash. The wire goes up to the horn button and then to this fuse. So what I need to do is remove it from this fuse and just send it up to the engine bay. Just like that. Route this with the link ECU stuff. This will go up to the new fuse box. And it's another day because this is really hard to film. This right here is a set of genuine Sumitomo Yazaki wire connectors with a tang on them for all the Sumitomo plugs. These I had to order because you don't want cheap ones because then they'll corrode fast. So I've run into a bit of a massive problem. This right here is a 3UZ drive-by-wire throttle body. It is approximately 77 millimeter in diameter across, up and down. It's a little bit taller. It's not perfectly round. It's about 80 going up and down. And if you notice, the lower portion is super low profile because it needs to be able to clear the coolant crossover right here, which is literally half of a millimeter away from the bottom of the intake throttle opening, which has made it essentially impossible to find an aftermarket cable-driven throttle body that'll fit this application. The only one out there that I have found that fits, that's cable, is off of a 1UZ. However, it has this massive barnacle on the side. You have to modify them to make them fully cable controlled, but they're hideous. In addition to all the other stuff, dimensionally having the cable pull from the right direction on the right side, having the ports for the IAC, as well as the TPS sensor, and not being too big or too small, so I end up creating a pressure drop situation. So what I'm trying to say is, as much as I want to try to keep this thing correct, I guess, by having cable throttle, even though VVTi didn't exist in 1974, I don't think it's gonna be possible. After doing some research, I discovered that the Lexus LS 430, which came with the 3UZ 4.3 liter version of this UZ engine, had a similar throttle pedal design to the one that's in this 74 Celica. One end with obviously the sensor for drive-by-wire. So that is a more realistic option. It's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I filmed like maybe 30 seconds of footage. Plug that in there. See? Starting to build this thing out. Actually, I'm not gonna have to run that many circuits in here. A lot of this is powers and grounds that are gonna come when I do all the power and ground circuits. Well, that's it. I got the interior lights, radio, heater, gauges, and turn signal. Slight snafu. There are 4 circuits that do not exist on this engine bay fuse box that an 85 Celica would have had inside the car in an additional fuse box. I have to have a fuse box in here. Oh geez, I have a massive mess to pick up in here. All the wiring on the car is complete now with the exception of grounds and powers for all the sensors and the relays and fuses. That's it, and the wiring will be done. The past 2 days now, I've gotten to the point where I'm hardly touching the camera. I'm just focusing on figuring out the wiring because it's so time consuming. I'm extremely stressed out trying to make these videos for you guys because I know it's like wiring video number 4, but this, you have no idea how much work this is because I'm trying to do this so clean and OE looking, and I don't want to half-ass it, and I'm trying my best to make these videos interesting. So the next video I do, I'm going to do one on the Super Duty to kind of give you guys a break on this, and then hopefully there's only 1 or 2 more wiring videos left. I'm sorry, it's so much wiring. I'm trying my best, but this is an immense project, massive amount of work. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.